And welcome back, guys. Today I'm bringing you the anticipated Shockadin / healing guide. For those of you that watch Tally stream, you might already know that I am in fact the holy paladin that does crazy amounts of DPS while still being able to heal at the same time. And that's the purpose of this guide. I'm going to help you guys be just as effective as me so you can burn those bosses down in heroic dungeons faster for faster loots and more chances at legendaries in a day. The first thing I'm going to recommend you have is the Horde of Valor trinket of the first boss in the dungeon Halls of Valor. This trinket has 829 versatility, and on use it increases your primary stat by 2238 for 30 seconds. What you want to do with this trinket is you want to macro it in with your Avenging Wrath. The macro is going to look something like this: hashtag show tooltip Avenging Wrath / cast Avenging Wrath / use Horn of Valor. But if you don't have the Horn of Valor, don't fret, because you could still do a decent amount of damage by just using pre-pots. The pre-pots that you're going to want to use are the Drainic Intellect Potion or the Potion of Deadly Grace, which is a Legion pattern, and they're kind of expensive right now in the auction house at 1,000 per. Currently I use Drainic Intellect Potions, but if you have access to Potions of Deadly Grace, use those as they're a lot better. But let's say you don't have the gold for all of that. It's okay, because you really only need Avenging Wrath for this to work. If you don't know what Avenging Wrath is, be sure to check my Ultimate Paladin guide in the description below. So let's go over the talents you're going to be using. For this to work, you're going to need Crusader's Might for your Tier 1 talent. Tier 2, you're going to use Cavalier for more maneuverability. Tier 3 is going to be Blinding Light for that quick AoE and stun. Tier 4 is going to be Devotion Aura for the flat damage decrease. Tier 5 is going to be Holy Prism, as you need it for better survivability in those tight situations where you guys take a lot of damage. Now for Tier 6, it is very important to use Sanctified Wrath, as it's going to allow you to use your Holy Shock more often, which is going to be the bulk of your damage. And for the final tier, you're going to go with Beacon of Faith, as you're just going to Beacon of Light the tank and then Beacon of Faith yourself, and then use your heals to heal you and the tank up to max health to increase your survivability, the tank's survivability, and then just healing everybody else around you. So now let's get into the rotation. At the start of the encounter, if you have any potions, you're going to use it immediately before the boss is pulled. Right after the boss is pulled, you're going to use your macro that you just made for Avenging Wrath and Horn of Valor. If you didn't have the macro for the Horn of Valor, don't worry, just pop your Avenging Wrath. Then you're going to cast Judgment on the boss, followed by a Holy Shock, and then you're going to Crusader Strike to reset the cooldown. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, whoa, Crusader Strike's going to reset the cooldown to Holy Shock? And that's most certainly correct. Because you took Sanctified Wrath as your Tier 6 talent, it's going to reduce the cooldown of Holy Shock in half every time you use a Crusader Strike. So the only time you're going to deviate from that rotation of Judgment, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike on cooldown, you're going to use Holy Prism when the group needs to be healed, or Light of Dawn when the group needs to be healed. But Pereadin, what happens if the group is taking a lot of damage? Well, I'm glad you asked. Since if you do this on Heroic, most of the boss encounters won't last more than a minute, you're going to simply pop your Divine Protection and Light of the Martyr the people that need to be healed back to max. Now if they are really taking a lot of damage, stop DPS and just heal the group up, or the person that needs to be healed up to max health. You have to remember, your job as a Holy Paladin is just to heal, not to DPS. This is just something to do when you know you're in a group that knows how to avoid mechanics and takes very minimal damage. Now it is still possible to out DPS them even when you're doing all that healing, because Holy Shock does crit so hard with the 3 relics if you have a Holy Shock relic in all 3 slots. The only other filler ability you have is Consecration. The only time you want to use Consecration as a Shockadin is when all your other spells are on cooldown and no one needs to be healed. It's just going to be a filler ability just to get more DPS on the boss. And that's it. That's how to be a Shockadin. That's literally everything you need to know to be an effective Shockadin and be able to heal at the same time. Now there's one other thing I can mention to make it a little bit more ridiculous the amount of damage you do, and that's the Void Tential Trinket. The trinket is currently bugged even though it's only level 100, and it scales the damage of each tendril to 110. So when you are supposed to be doing around 230k DPS as a Holy Paladin, you're actually putting out 300k to even 500k burst if you have that high item level like I do. But as with the potions, don't fret if you don't have it. It's okay, you can still put a decent amount of damage out without the trinket and without potions. If you've been paying attention to my rotation in the video so far, you kind of got an idea of what I'm doing and how the actual rotation works, aside from how I explained it. Specifically, it's going to be like Judgment, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, until the 30 seconds of Avenging Wrath and Horn of Valor is done. Then you're going to go into your regular rotation of Judgment, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Consecrate, and then Holy Shock when the Holy Shock is off cooldown. Of course, please do remember to heal the people that need to be healed if they get really low on health. The last thing you want to do is be paying attention to your DPS and not paying attention to what you're actually supposed to be doing as a Holy Paladin, which is healing. Everybody thinks this class is broken because of how much damage they see me do on Tally stream and my stream. But I'm telling you right now, the only reason I do so much damage is one, because I am 847 item level, and also because I do have the Horn of Valor and I use pre-pots during every dungeon I'm in. The pre-pots are super cheap, or I just craft them up on my Death Knight if there's none on the auction house, and I use them on every boss fight in every dungeon. Another thing I'd like you guys to know is that it does take a really geared tank, or a tank that knows what they're doing and know how to self-heal to make this possible. If you don't have one, you're just going to end up popping your cooldowns in the beginning for no beneficial reason to the boss fight. If this happens, just use your Holy Shock on the boss on cooldown, heal the tank when you need to, and then just use your Crusader Strike to take your Holy Shock off cooldown for those important heals, because the tank doesn't know how to keep himself alive. Now, it could be a gear thing or it could be a skill thing, but just remember, your job is to heal as a Holy Paladin, not DPS. And that concludes the guide, guys. Please remember to like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, smash that subscribe button if you want me to come up with more content just like this, and leave a comment in the comment section below on what you think about this Holy Paladin madness that's been going on lately, and what you would like my next video to be. Be sure to check me out on Twitch when I'm online at www.twitch.tv/Peramo to see this Shockadin madness as it goes down. And I'll leave it at that. I'll see you all next time, and thanks for watching.